We saw, as you mentioned earlier, how close things might be in dealing with K2 and Alex Krassyuk, Alexander Usyk's promoter. He's actually over here in the UK now, speaking with the Warrens, trying to get that deal over the line. He's been adamant it has to be a 50-50 split. Do
Well,
you agree with that?
no, I like Alexander. He's a nice guy, and he's Ukrainian. So again, I love Ukraine. I love Ukrainian, but he should shut up and not negotiate in the press. I will not negotiate this fight in the press even a little. The negotiations have to be behind the scenes. The Usyk people, because I know his manager, Igor Klimas, we have a lot of fighters that he manages that we promote. Terrific guy, very sensible. We can come to an understanding with him and Tyson. So I am not going to talk about percentages or statements because once you start negotiating in the press, it all falls apart because then the ego of people come to the fore and that trumps common sense. So let it be, let us be, let it be behind the scenes. I'm sure we'll put it together and hopefully have an announcement shortly in the press. I will not negotiate this fight in the press, but he should shut up and not negotiate in the press. Shut up and not negotiate in the press. Shut up and not negotiate in the press.
Ooh, what's
But in
good,
to that, you're saying there's no
family?
chance we see that happening.
What's good, family? It's your man, the YB, back once again. So we just heard there from Bob Oldham, old having ass dude. Now, listen, he airing out Team Alexander Usyk and saying Team Usyk need to STFU and stop leaking confidential information to your man, the YB. That's what the guy said, not my words, not his words, not anyone else's words. His own words. Stop leaking information to the YB. Stop leaking confidential negotiation information to people like the YB, who he's been putting out the split problems. And no one have that information. Yeah, let's not forget this, people. Your man, Mr. 100 grand, probably 300 grand a year, Mr. Talk Sports, Simon Jordan. Yeah, what was he saying? He weren't saying nothing about split. Mr. 400 grand a year, Talk Sport Journal, Simon Jordan, told you, man, it was a location issue. Oops. Yeah, he ain't tell you about the split. It was your man, the YB, who leaked the information about it being. I've been telling you it's about the split. All these other cornballs, oh, it's the location, corny. Anyway, like I was saying, you heard it from Bob Arum, airing out Team Usyk saying, listen, stop, shut your mouth, zip it up, because you're too loose with the lips. Loose lips sink ships. Now, I don't know what it was, but it was some sort. When I heard them were Barts from Arum, of course, at a glance, I've said, listen, salute to the old head. He airing out these guys. Rightly or wrongly, I respect anyone with a certain energy. You can be a complete goofball, but if you've got that energy behind it, you have to, at the very least, respect it, if that makes sense. Doesn't mean you're right, doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means, you know what, you got that, you've ticked a box. And trust me, in this day and age, there's certain guys who don't tick no boxes, like Simon Jordan. Simon Jordan, when Eddie Hearn pulled up and stuck it on him, he folded. Yeah, I'm trying to think, what box does Simon Jordan tick? He ticks the silver spoon, goober, big mouth, big for nothing mouth box. That's it. Yeah? Eton, preppy, you know what I mean? That whole preppy swag. 100. Simon Jordan got that preppy, private school, Eton Harrow swag. That's what he'd be toting. That's the only box he'd be ticking. So like I said, in terms of assertiveness, I rate Arum. Yeah? Clearly, we've already discussed to the nth degree. Team Fury are wrong here. Team Fury are bugging. Thinking they're something they're not. Demanding more than 50%. Nonetheless, Arum coming at it and saying, shut your mouth. I give him full salute. However, apart from saluting Arum for sticking it on Team Usyk, unfortunately, I'm going to have to expose the guy. Because there was something in the universe. When Bob Arum said these things. Oh, we shouldn't be negotiating in public. Blah, 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 blah. Doing the most with this, yeah. It sounded good at the time, doesn't it? We know that classic lyric. In fact, I've seen Team Fury fans themselves telling me, why is Team Usyk putting it out there? Oh, and when people put it out there, it makes the fight less likely. We've been heard that narrative. That narrative's been out there. And listen, there's certain individuals in the sport who genuinely operate like that. Now, I don't like Al Heyman, but listen, Al Heyman don't say nothing about nothing. So I respect that. As long as you're consistent, if you're a dude who just sitting back in the cut like Al Heyman, then play your role. Be consistent is what I'm getting at. But like I said, when Bob Arum said these words, I saluted his tone, and I was about to salute the merits of his argument. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe Bob's right. Maybe this fight has a chance if Team Usyk weren't out here airing him out publicly. But then somehow, out of nowhere, this wave of, wait a minute, something just don't quite sit right here. Now again, I'm not going to go back and explain. We all know this fight should be 50-50 for the first fight. In fact, some Don made a great idea that the first fight should be 40-40 split and the winner gets 20% on top. Oops. There's a great idea. So if Fury really wants his 60-40, he can get it. All he's got to do is win the fight. And I think Team Usyk should come out of that anyway. That should be their narrative now. That should be their kind of negotiating tool. Because so far, Team Usyk have been stubborn. 50-50. Now, with all the stuff out there about, it's in the UK, so Fury's the bigger guy. On that basis, Team Usyk could put an olive branch out and say, listen, we're prepared to step down from 50-50 or do 40-40 and the winner takes 20. At that point, Fury does not have a leg to stand on. I mean, he barely has a leg to stand on anyway, not doing this first fight at 50-50. Because the logic should be, beat Usyk once, if he wants a rematch, you then have all the cards, don't you? And that works for both fighters. All you have to do is beat this guy once, and then they become a nobody, no belt having ass challenger, which is 80-20. So you make it back on the... I don't know what the fascination is with trying to squeeze blood out of a stone for the first fight. It's really quite weird. Really quite weird. But again, you could argue that for both sides. You could say, well, YB, why doesn't Team Usyk just accept 40%? They know they'll beat Fury, and then they'll be able to say, listen, 90-10 if you want your virginity back. Yeah, Tyson Fury, I've popped your cherry. If you want a chance at getting your virginity back, it's going to be 90-10. Otherwise, don't ring my phone. But again, bottom line is, it should be 50-50. Anyway, the point of this video is, Team Fury out here airing out Team Usyk about how they shouldn't be chatting because they're making the fight less likely. And like I said, when I heard these bars, a wave of hypocrisy came over me. I thought, this something's not right here. Something's just not right. Why? Well, I was sure that not only Team Fury, but Bob Arum himself, in the last few weeks, had come out here and done exactly what he said Team Usyk shouldn't be doing. I thought to myself, wait a minute. I'm sure it wasn't long ago that it was Bob Arum sitting there with Tyson Fury saying, listen, Usyk, if it comes to the UK, it's not going to be 50-50 because Tyson Fury's the big fighter in the UK and he'll be bringing all the tickets in. He'll be the big dog and whatever. He brought that up. Bob Arum was the one who brought up the fact that if it's in the UK, it shouldn't be 50-50. And now, a few weeks later, he out here saying, Team Usyk shouldn't be putting things out publicly. Anyway, I wasn't sure if I made it up in my head, so I did a bit of research, and this, unfortunately, is a big oopsie daisy. A big oops. Listen, this is a super duper oopsie daisy for any Team Fury fan. Here we go. Arum, Usyk wants 50-50. Arum, Usyk wants 50-50 for Fury fight. That's not right if their fight is at Wembley. Oh no. Oh no, not a big oopsie doopsie lump of bulbous hypocrisy. Here we go. Everybody agreed that if Saudi Arabia's offer comes through, and bear in mind, let me give you some provenance here. This date is January 16th, 2023, so a month ago, almost to the day. A month ago to the day, these are the quotes. Everybody agreed that if Saudi Arabia's offer comes through and it's real, that's how we'll go. Arum, whose company co-promotes Fury with Warren's Queensberry Promotions, if not, will do the fight at Wembley. The fighters have to agree to fight. The fighters have agreed to fight, Arum said. I spoke to Fish Eyes Warren. We're giving them until this week to come up with their offer, which I believe we'll get. If we don't, then we're gonna do the fight at Wembley. And then we'd have to talk about the percentages, because Usyk wants 50-50. That's not right if the fight's at Wembley, because there will be 100,000 Brits at the fight, and the big Brit pay-per-view money, so Tyson deserves the lion's share. But we don't get to that point if the investors in Saudi come through, because the way they operate is they make deals with each of the fighters, which is complete cap. That's what Team Fury were hoping. Team Fury were hoping, oh, they'll make separate deals for us. That's not what happened. Hence why 4 months later, it still hasn't come to fruition. That's why Team Fury 2 weeks ago was sitting in there saying, oh, it's a simple case of the Saudis need to show us the money. Oops, you got a big bag of nothing. Do you know? And that's what, in business, I ain't trying to listen, Bob Arum's much more successful than me in business. Yeah? Shekel wanna be asked too. Anyway, Mr. Shekel, not that by 100%. He's way more successful than me in business, but even so, you have to be able to read the room. Yeah? And as successful as Bob Arum is, Bob Arum and Tyson Fury, they are food. Do you understand? The Saudis, they play with bees. Yeah, the Saudis play with bees, the bee, yeah, and that's the problem. In this current social media culture, unfortunately, a lot of social media guys, they're clout rich, but they're coin poor in that sense. Tyson Fury's got the clout of a billionaire, which gasses their head up. In reality, Tyson Fury, I mean, all due respect, from what I've heard, these Saudi dons, they can have a bad weekend in Vegas and blow Tyson Fury's net worth. That's just what it is, yeah? A bad weekend in Vegas and they've blown Bob Arum and Tyson Fury's net worth. That's the kind of numbers they're playing with. And that's relevant because Tyson Fury and Bob Arum rocked in there talking about, yeah, they need to show us like they're big dogs. Not understanding that, people, listen, that's one thing AJ and Eddie Hearn do well. AJ will go there, get on his knees and, you know what I mean, get popped. And I'm not saying, listen, if Tyson Fury was smart enough, he'd do the same. This isn't a value judgment saying about how Tyson Fury respects himself. No, if Tyson Fury had the IQ, we know Tyson Fury loves money. And that's why Tyson Fury is depressed, because he can't work out, why can't I get this big bag? Because you played yourself, that's why. Because you was out here all in the video, yeah, show us the money, yeah, 500 million. That's not how, listen, again, these dudes who can lose your whole net worth in a bad night, they don't want to be told what they're going to, you know what I'm saying? It's levels to the game. A manager doesn't want to be told by an employee what they're going to do. And that's essentially what the situation was here. There's Bob Arum and Tyson Fury are employees of the Saudis. And because of clout, that's what it comes down to. Tyson Fury thinks I've got 10 million followers and they gas me up every day. Or they thought that meant something to the Saudis. Yeah? How you play the Saudis is, you go there like Eddie Hearn does, you go there like AJ does, and you get your back blown out. That's how you do it. Yeah, 100%. You go to some zesty meeting and you end up with a big warm dump on your chest. That's how you play the Saudis. Yeah, you understand? You know what I mean? You have to go in there and say whatever, bow your head, and that's the game. It's to be honest, that's not even just a Saudi game. That's just how the money, if you're involved in anything financial, that's how it works. Anyone who is your financial big dog, you go there and you bow your head. Simple as that. If you want to be paid. If you don't want to be paid, then keep woofing about what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. And you'll end up like Tyson Fury. Oh, I'm depressed because I thought I could cocky off. Tyson Fury and Team Fury thought they could rock in there, make demands, and tell the big dogs what they was going to do. Oops. And they ended up with squat. They ended up back at Wembley making peanuts. But anyway, let me get back to this original point. But we don't get to that point if the Saudis come through, because the way they operate is they make deals with each of the fighters. We've been led to believe that they're going to come through with a proposal this week. I'll believe it when I see it, but it's not like they haven't come through in the past. So, anyway, the bottom line of this video is, people, Bob Arum was out here giving it all this. Yeah, Usyk, be quiet, Usyk, stop ruining negotiations. And the reason you hear Bob Arum bugging out right now, Bob Arum, he is Team Shekel. And them, man, they love the coin more than anything. People like the YB, we love booty holes. That's what I'm going to be honest with you. I'll tell you now, if there was a bag of $1 million and 10 of the finest, 10 worldly females, yeah, I'm taking the females every time. That's just me though. But them, trust me, Shekel Dons, they're taking the coins. Shekel Dons get off over coins. They love coins. Yeah? And what's happened is, Bob Arum, he loved coins so much, he's been licking his lips, thinking about his percentages. Same as Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, even though it's not about the amount, these guys love making more. Yeah, and that's why Tyson Fury depressed. He was sitting there doing the maths. Oh, I'm going to make so much money. I've told the Saudis what I want. I'm going to get what I want. I've jumped on social media and I've made my demands. And the Saudis in the next week are going to come back and give me exactly what I want. Because I'm big Tyson. I'm big dog Tyson Fury. And I'm big dog Bob Arum. Yeah? That's what happened. And that's why Bob Arum is melting down right now. Oh, Team Usyk need to shut up. Basically, they're taking out their frustration. The fact they've played themselves out of the Saudi bag, and they're now relegated back to the Wembley bag, which is rumoured to be 80%, 70% less. That's why Bob Arum's nonsensically bugging out and just taking his anger out on Team Usyk. Oh, Team Usyk need to shut up and be quiet because they're ruining the deal. No, you ruined the deal, and he knows that. Bob Arum knows he's played himself. Bob Arum knows who has and hasn't ruined a deal. Yeah? Because when you go from 100 million to now you're looking at 30 or 40 again, that must break a man. And that's what you're seeing here 100%. Tyson Fury is broken because he's played himself, and Bob Arum are broken. And they're trying to point fingers now. Oh, and that's what's coming next. When the fight doesn't happen, they'll then say, see, I told Team Usyk not to mention the splits because it's ruined it. I mean, that narrative doesn't even hold water, people. Yeah? The bottom line in anything in life, if two people want something, it gets done. Doesn't matter who talked about split or who didn't. Do you understand? I don't get that one. In fact, and that's the other thing. Not only is Bob Arum lashing out because he's angry that he's played himself, he's also lashing out because guess what? The split narrative isn't favourable to them. Do you understand? It's making Tyson Fury look bad, because you best believe, if the split narrative made Tyson Fury look good, you wouldn't hear the end of it. Yeah? You would not hear the end of it. Example, Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury. Now, I was the key person saying, Dillian, you've talked a big game. Dillian, you said Tyson Fury is chinny. Dillian, you said you're a yard man from Brixton. Take your yardy backside in there and go and wash the pillar-fisted lanky Donny with no pop in his shots, who went life and death with Chisora. Go in there and handle your business for 20%. There was no rematch clause. Go in, I think it was 25%. Go in there, handle your... I think even Tyson Fury offered 30% at one point. Go in there, take your 30%, push this Donny's bold Barnett wig back, and then say, listen, Tyson Fury, if you want your virginity back, it's going to be 90-10. Oops. That's what you do. Yeah? You don't make demands when you're nobody. My point is, back in, when was it, last year? 2021 December, when the Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury thing was back and forth. Who here heard Bob Arum saying, we shouldn't talk about splits publicly because it's, no. Bob Arum was the one out here saying it's ridiculous. Dillian Whyte's a nobody. Dillian Whyte's just a challenger. The rules say 25%. He's lucky we give him 20. That's what they were saying. Because the narrative benefited them. They knew the public was behind that narrative. Now, Bob Arum, he don't want no, he ain't want people, he doesn't want Team Usyk. That's why, with all due respect, that's why Team Usyk are bringing it up. Team Usyk are bringing up the split now because they know it looks good for them. We're happy to fight 50-50. That's straight down the middle. Who can complain with that? Team Fury want it zipped up because they know, let's keep it behind closed doors, because the more things are behind closed doors, the easier it is. And that's what this has been going on for years, people. Terence Crawford, all of them, man, who don't end up fighting the big fights. The more hush-hush it is, the better it is for everyone. Or the better it is for the duck inside. And that's why I've said to Team Usyk, they need to be at it more publicly. They should have been at it saying, wait a minute, we signed, never mind about how the Saudis can't get it done. We signed 3 weeks ago. How did we sign 3 weeks ago if the Saudi location is the problem? Make it make sense. Now what Team Usyk have done well is putting out the split thing. They've made it clear. If Tyson Fury is a fighting man, he will fight for 50-50. Tyson Fury right now is being greedy. He's holding out, wanting a bigger split. They've done their part, and Bob Arum is big mad because it doesn't benefit him. Yeah, if it benefited him, he'd be out here doing it. And that's what I don't rate about people, yeah? And that's the thing. Most cats, most low IQ cats, you man was baffled by this. Oh, yeah, Bob Arum, he on point. You didn't even know that this guy, and that's what I don't rate. Again, I was about to say don't treat the public like mugs, but with all due respect, most of you Donnies, most of you slow Donnies, you are mugs. Oops, do you know what I'm saying? That's why you get treated that way. That's why you was paying $30 to watch Tyson Fury sparring partner with Bumzora. That's why Bob Arum can come out 2 weeks after saying the opposite. 2 weeks after telling the public that it should be 60-40, he comes out and says they should shut up and stop talking about splits. It's like, where do they find? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you understand? And maybe Bob Arum's old, but scrap Bob Arum. It's Team Fury in general. Frank Warren was doing the same. He does the same kind of stuff. Oh, it's not very professional to be talking about the private stuff, and I want to get this. In fact, Frank Warren was saying that. Oh, I'm not going to mention too much in this interview, Umar, because I want to get the deal done. What you mean to say is you don't have a narrative to work with. Yeah, if Team Fury had a negotiation narrative to work with, you wouldn't hear the end of it. You know what I mean? If Team Fury had something that made sense that they could pitch to the public, and that's what I'm saying. When I mentioned about this thing from a month ago, yeah, the reason Bob Arum put it out there a month ago is because he thought at the time that people would back that. He thought at the time this was the big sell. Yeah, people, we're the big... And listen, of course the Fury fangirls have jumped all over it. Yeah, Fury sells the most tickets. Of course it should be 60-40. But unfortunately, Bob Arum's clocked on that, yeah, this ain't really going down how they thought it would. They thought it would be the masses pressing Usyk. Listen, man, you must accept 60-40. When in fact the masses have been backing the 50-50. Hence, why Bob Arum now, Mr. Bob Arum, who, by the way... From what I understand, Team Usyk have only really brought up the 50-50 thing recently. Bob Arum a month ago was the first one to come out and actually say we need to start talking about the splits. So do you get what I'm saying? Wait a minute, the guy who originally brought out the split issue to the public, he now wants to put the cat back in the bag. Yeah, he wants to put the cat back in the bag. Because his narrative is super duper weak. And it makes them look like a scary clown. Team Fury are looking like scary clowns right now. Trying to pick 10%. I understand it's a lot of money, but come on, you're meant to be after all that talk as well about being a better Ben. Oh, I'm bare knuckle. Oh, I'm 400 years of purebred bare knuckle. There's no muggle blood in me. Purebred. What would purebred bare knuckle say about you making... We're literally talking about whether it's 40 or 50 people. Can you imagine? Whether you make 40 or 50, you're prepared not to have this generational fight because of 40 rather than 50 million. And if you win the fight, you can then have a ridiculous favour in the rematch. You know what I mean? I don't know what to say here, but either way, Team Fury are what we call capitulating at this point. That's what this shows. They're not making sense. They're messy with it. The hypocrisy is red hot. And yes, Bob Arum's old, but Frank Warren, he the same. He be saying the same stuff. Oh, let's keep it 100%. Oh, let's keep it quiet. Yeah, I don't want to say too much. And yeah, you don't now. You don't now, but when, again, trust me, when Dillian White, when that was going on, oh, trust me, show me one, please someone send me a video, yeah, of Frank Warren saying, during Dillian White thing, yeah, show me one video of Frank Warren saying, oh, let's not talk about anything specific, hush, hush, hush. Oh, he was out here, it's ridiculous, disgraceful. How can a challenger ever demand 50%, 40%? It's despicable. If you want to make a big 50%, then earn it. Beat Fury. It's all you got to do. It's all come back around again. And there's a number of karma points everyone can learn from here. Tyson Fury can learn from it in the Dillian White situation. Tyson Fury, learn from what you told Dillian. You told Dillian, you're the challenger. Prove yourself. Take my belt and you'll be the big dog. And that situation holds true right now. Tyson Fury, if you are essentially, both men are challengers. And that's why 50-50 makes sense. Both men are challengers. Both men aren't the Supremo Uno One. Yeah, the Supremo Uno One is the guy who the top. Both of you right now, this right here is a semi-final fight. And what do we know about semi-final? It's 50-50. In it, semi-final, you got one spot here, one spot here before the final. That's what you call 50-50. The quarter-final is 25. Oops. Yeah, that's just what it is. So the same way you told Dillian White, yeah, if you want a big dog, you have to earn the big dog. You should be approaching it with that kind of challenger attitude. Usyk's prepared to. Equally though, Usyk, he ain't in the clear house in my book. Usyk's not completely clean. Yeah? Because he did exactly the same thing to Joe Joyce. He told Joe Joyce, I'm the A side. If we fight, it's 93-7. So everyone right now is eating a little bit of karma and humble pie. It's time for everyone to potentially, because that's the thing, Team Usyk, I'm going to do a video on this in its own right, but Team Usyk called Joe Joyce and said, Joe, what the crazy thing is, Team Usyk, what they tried to do to Joe Joyce wasn't even legal. The legal minimum you can pay a challenger is I think it's between 17 and 20%. Team Usyk said, it's 93-7, that's the only way we're fighting you. It wasn't, not even legal for the WBO. My point is, Team Usyk said, Joe Joyce, you're only worth 7%. Because we're the big name, apparently. So, like I said, it's all come back round now. And that's why I don't feel... normally I'd feel really passionate and I'd feel like Usyk's been done wrong. But listen, man, if Usyk was perfect, if Usyk had played the game like a true gentleman in that sense, you know what, Joe Joyce, for example, I think that fight, at that time, back in 2021, Usyk had only beat Chisora. At that time, I think the fight should be 60-40. Usyk 60, Joe Joyce 40. And with all due respect, there's an argument, it should be 50-50. Bearing in mind, Joe Joyce has the better wins at heavyweight. I don't know. But you know what I mean? A fair deal would have been 60-40 to Joe Joyce. Sorry, 60-40 to Usyk. About 93-7. And that tells me, number one, Usyk is scared to death of Joe Joyce. But number two, that Usyk isn't this pure guy. Usyk talks about, oh, I'm a pure guy. But if you're a pure guy, you wouldn't... You know what I mean? If you're a pure guy, where do you get a 7% split from? And it wasn't a joke. They were literally campaigning, yeah, the only way we're going to fight Joe Joyce, him. And that's what happened. The fight ended up nearly going to purse bids or something like that because he weren't prepared. Usyk was not prepared to lower the 7% split. That's why it went to purse bids. They couldn't make a deal individually. Usyk was determined, if we fight Joe Joyce, we're paying him 7%. Yeah, so again, that's why I don't feel emotionally connected to Usyk at all, because he's really just getting a taste of his own medicine. And actually thinking about it, the fact Usyk in the past has showed that propensity to trying to kind of bully people with clout, in a way, he should really roll over right now and say, you know what, the same way I tried to bully Joe Joyce, I should apply that same logic and take the 40%. That's actually, you know what? I'm kind of moving down on that basis. I'm kind of moving down that path, you know. Thinking about it now. Since Usyk acted that way, Usyk was prepared to try and punk Joe Joyce off for 7%. Because he was the big dog. Well, now, unfortunately, you're not the big dog. You're just any man. You might have a few more belts, but you're still any man to Tyson Fury. If you want to, again, Usyk wasn't coming at Joe Joyce from a boxing purist point of view. Well, Joe Joyce, I've done A, B, C, D. No, he said he was the big dog commercially. He thought Joe Joyce don't sell no tickets. Usyk's the big name. Well, now you're not the big name. So maybe you should take your own advice that you were lashing out to Joe Joyce and say, you know what, you are the bigger name, Tyson Fury. I'll take the 40%. And that's why it is a bit of a toss-up right now. From a pure boxing point of view, it should be 50-50. But all the other factors are thrown in there. It's messy. Super duper messy with it. Because you can see both sides. Part of me thinks, why doesn't Fury just take 50-50? The other part, why doesn't Usyk? After all, if Usyk wins, he can then say, it's 90-10. Do you know what I'm saying? If Usyk really backs himself, what does 10 million make a difference for? But like I said, it works you can do it all the ways. You can say, Tyson, what difference does 10 million make? Whether you make 50 or 60. Usyk, what difference 10 million make? Whether it's 40 or 50. And that's really where we're stuck at. And what I will say, unfortunately, the fight isn't going to happen. Because both men, if Team Usyk had any, I said it a few days ago, I'll say it again. If Team Usyk had any idea of agreeing to 40, they'd have done so already. And I believe if Team Fury had any idea of going to 50, they'd have done so already. I do actually believe, though, before I was telling you, for this fight to happen, you have to believe either Team Usyk will come down to 40% or Team Fury will come down to 50%. I now believe there are not two ways to make this fight. I believe the only way this fight gets made is if Tyson Fury goes from 60% to 50%. I'm completely removing, I'm 100% sure Team Usyk are not going to go to the 40. That's my position right now. I don't believe they will. I believe they'll F this fight off. But again, the thing is about that is, kind of like, wait a minute, where does Usyk go from here though? So anyway, I might be wrong there. Because Usyk doesn't have a whole bunch of options, you know. If he's stubborn with 50-50, yeah, and throws this fight away, and it's not going to be long, people. Usyk has 3 belts, and he has the worst belts. The WBC, Fury has the easiest belt, i.e. they do anything he wants to do. Canelo's been doing what he wants to do with the WBC. Usyk has the IBF, they don't play no games. The IBF plays no games. They don't care what you've got going on. Where I'm going with this is that I just said that I'm 100% sure that Usyk ain't moving from 50-50, but taking a step back, what do we know about Usyk? Where does he have to go from here? If he does dig his nails in, what does he have to look forward to? Okay, if you have this fight, it will be $40 million for Usyk if he takes a 40% split, yeah? So you can take $40 million and the opportunity to beat Fury and be the 80-20 rematch, Don. Or you can dig your feet in and end up having to fight Hrgovic for probably 2 or 3 million. Let's be real now. How many tickets does Usyk versus Hrgovic sell? I genuinely think Usyk might end up making 2 or 3, 4 mil, 5 mil. Bear in mind, people, yeah, Fury versus Wilder 1, they were getting paid like 5, 10 mil. And that was Wilder and Fury. Wilder and Fury and Hrgovic and Usyk. I'm not even sure if Usyk's ever done a pay-per-view on his own back. Hrgovic definitely hasn't. And Hrgovic, his whole thing ain't doing no favours ever since he lost to Zhang. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of them ones. So Usyk, if he's stubborn, at best, he's going to go from a $40 million fight to a $4 million fight. And again, I think that $4 million's proper pushing it. I really do. He'll be lucky to get $4 million against Hrgovic. So that might end up ultimately weighing. But what time says is that Usyk and his team should have already done that mental maths. And the fact they haven't flipped already might imply they really are just going to stick to how they feel morally speaking. Team Fury are in a different situation. Team Fury just made 20-30 mil fighting Bumzora. They really can only go up. Fury can only fight a foot, innit? You can't get any lower than Bumzora. If Fury fights anyone, I don't know, pick a name. Who do you want? I'm trying to think of a name, but anyone. If Fury fights Dubois, he's getting paid multiples. Or if Fury made 25 mil against Chisora, yeah, he's going to get 40 mil, 45 mil against Dubois. Who doesn't want to see that? Big stiff bodybuilding buff dude versus Fury. You best believe that'll sell Wembley out. Do you know what I'm saying? Fury has much more options, and that in itself, unfortunately, means the fight isn't likely to happen. Why? Fury isn't likely to bend. If Fury knows I can punch up Dubois in an easier fight, hit him on the side of his big buff Nelly, and he's going to roll over and bust his knee. Yeah? I can fight big buff, no knees having ass Dubois for 40 mil in an easy fight. Dong, 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 dong. Joe Joyce has already set the blueprint for that one. Yeah, I can play ping pong with Daniel Dubois' big buff Nelly for 40 mil, or I can fight Usyk for 50. Yeah? You know what I mean? It's one of them ones. Yeah, and that's the problem. Fury has no pressure for this one. So potentially we have two worlds colliding. We have Fury, who has no financial pressure to accept 50-50. Fury really can't afford to die on this 60-40 hill. He just moves on and makes 20-30 mil somewhere else. From Fury's point of view, making 20-30-40 mil rather than 60, it's not you're not going to cry about it, are you? Usyk, on the other hand, because it is Usyk prepared morally, or based on morals, to throw away a $40 million payday to make 1, 2, 3, 4 mil. That's the question we have here. And that's the question we're going to find out. So a minute ago I just told you that I think Fury is the most likely to want to cave. Forget that. I don't think Fury's going to cave at all. I think it has to be Usyk to cave. And that's why it's so tricky, because it doesn't look like either. Fury has no incentive to cave. Unless he wants to just prove he's the best, but we know he loves money. Now Usyk, well, and that's why ultimately the fight doesn't happen. There's too much going on. For Team Usyk to come out in the last few days and say, we're not budging from 50-50, how much of a plebs will they look now if they go back? So that must tell us that they really are going to die on the hill. Both of them are. Fury has no financial benefit to roll over, and Usyk has already put himself out there. How bad does it look for Team Usyk for them to say, yeah, we're definitely getting 50, and then they go down to 40? They look like sidemen. So yeah, in conclusion, people, this video is long again, but what this video proves is, we've worked it out now, I believe. The fight's not going to happen. That's what we come to. The bottom line, when you work it all out, this fight doesn't happen. So the last 4 months are making much more sense now because of this video. The thought process is going on. That's why we are where we are. And it will continue being this way. If I could bet now, does the fight happen? I'd love to bet on it. I'd bet no. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Big shout out to my doggy, Jamie Varral, for coming through and boosting the coin up. Smash the like button, subscribe, and let off the bell 100%.